NFL defenses typically don't waver far from the same selection of coverages. There's cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, and different variations of zone and man coverage. For the most part, the list is limited. You can get more creative with blitzes and coverage disguises, but quarterbacks largely see the same things over and over again in NFL games. On Sunday, the Pittsburgh Steelers were creative and aggressive in subverting expectations for Joe Burrow at the snap. But the creativity and aggression they showed off manifested itself in subtle differences. This is how the Steelers brilliantly baited Burrow into making mistake after mistake throughout the game. For the first play, Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to pick the ball off and run it back to the end zone. It's not the first time he's done that in his career, and Minkah himself is a very talented individual, capable of making plays on his own outside of the scheme structure. But he doesn't make this play on his own. The Steelers' work begins early in the play clock, with the slot cornerback on the left side of the field pressing towards the pocket. He's threatening to blitz, and leaving the slot receiver uncovered on Minkah's side of the field. Burrow sees this and understands he has the route combinations on that side to attack the space in behind the slot cornerback if he comes forward at the snap. The cornerback actually backs out of his blitz look before the ball is snapped, early enough that Burrow can see him. But he still has route combinations over there to beat the zone and man coverage that's coming. He immediately looks to his right side at the snap and sees his outside receiver breaking infield early in the play. The shallow route is working in front of the slot cornerback and can be thrown to at this point. But Burrow sees both underneath defenders playing zone and he sees the outside defender pulled forward. He knows he has a deep out route releasing from the slot, so that might be open by a sideline. With Minkah in the position you'd anticipate him being in a normal coverage call, Burrow has the opportunity to throw this ball in behind the cornerback and in front of his receiver before Minkah can cross the field. But Minkah is not in the position you would expect him to be in. He's widened after the snap. He can do this because linebacker Myles Jack has turned and run up the seam. Jack is looking at the receiver who's breaking to the outside. He's responsible for the inside coverage here, so Minkah can overplay the outside. That allows the safety to be more aggressive and read the flight of the ball before the receiver can. To create this 4-on-2 situation on the left side of the defense, the play call sacrifices coverage on the check down over the middle. Nobody covers the running back on this play. That's where Burrow had to go with the ball, no other option was available. It's a subtle but very aggressive move to leave a skill position player unaccounted for by design. It's not Tampa 2 where the middle linebacker would sprint down the middle of the field. Jack is very clearly doubling up on the vertical receiver to Minkah's side of the field. Burrow never sees this, and that's how Minkah winds up with the interception. He likely sees Minkah wider than expected as he's releasing the ball or when he starts his throwing motion. He's past the point of return at that point, so he then tries to fit the ball inside and hopes his receiver will protect it from the safety over the top. But this is where Minkah's quality comes into play. His ball skills and decision making are excellent to put him in position for the easy interception. There isn't a Bengals player between him and the end zone, so it's an easy return for a touchdown, and the Steelers take a surprise 7-0 lead. Burrow's second interception is teaching tape for any defensive coordinator. A good blitz is not just about being more creative than anyone else. It's not about being more aggressive than anyone else. You don't have to be Rex Ryan to be effective, or Greg Williams to be ineffective in a certain way. Any coach can draw up something that looks spectacular on a whiteboard. The best blitzes are often the simplest designs, but plays that are executed with perfect timing. That's what we got here from the Steelers. The initial alignment from the defenders on the field doesn't tip anything off to Burrow. It looks for all intents and purposes that the defense is going to play cover 3. There's a single high safety, both cornerbacks on the outside are deep off the line of scrimmage, and there are 4 defenders underneath at the same level, ready to drop into underneath zones. At this stage, none of the 3 players highlighted in green are in blitzing positions. They're all on their heels and off the line of scrimmage, happy to let the play come to them as they sit in coverage instead of chasing at the quarterback. But then we can zoom in and slow the play down as it runs out the play clock. We can see how the box safety creeps forward. The linebackers both left their weight drift forward, so they're both on their front feet and moving towards the line of scrimmage. This is in slow motion, so it looks like it's easy to see coming, but this is slowed to 25%. The timing here actually gives Burrow no chance to look down, catch the snap, and then look back up and know what's happened. When he looks back up, the picture has completely changed. Because of the timing of the blitz, Burrow couldn't change the play or make an adjustment. He has no hot route in the original play call. He has 2 receivers running deep comeback routes, time-consuming routes that force the quarterback to hold onto the ball in the pocket. He has a crossing route emanating from the slot on the right side. That's double covered by the safety and the cornerback underneath. He can't throw to him. There's nowhere for Burrow to go with the ball. He should show better awareness of the pressure as it arrives, but he only accounts for the rusher coming through the middle of the pocket. Burrow has no awareness or feel of the blindside pressure that knocks the ball out for the turnover. While some may criticise Burrow's awareness for his third interception, I actually wouldn't. It's a fluke play where TJ Watt perfectly times his jump and gets in the passing lane while behind one of Burrow's blockers. Burrow had no real chance of seeing him at this speed. These types of interceptions are just unfortunate events rather than an indictment of the quarterback. Unless he has a major flaw that leads to these opportunities all the time, something that Burrow hasn't showcased so far in his career, it's not something to criticise the quarterback about. The exception would be a player like Kirk Cousins, who has a tendency to pat the ball and stare his receivers down. That allows defensive linemen to read his eyes and jump in the passing lane with great timing. For this next interception, we again see the Steelers aren't showing blitz or any sort of aggressive alignment before the snap. The focus here needs to be on the right side of safety. He's going to move before and after the snap in such a way that confuses Burrow and baits him into a throw the Steelers want him to make. He initially moves back, then holds his position before making it appear that he's communicating with the defensive backs closest to him. That looks like normal communication before the ball is snapped in zone coverage to make sure everyone is on the same page and they don't blow an assignment. At least that's what it looks like from here and what it looks like to Burrow. The safety then jumps forward at the snap. What he does looks completely out of sync with the defenders around him. He's coming forward and aggressively picking up the running back in man coverage. It's the kind of thing you'd expect him to do if the rest of the defense was blitzing. But the rest of the defense isn't blitzing. The safety actually runs past 2 defenders to get to the running back. Instead, they've double-teamed Jamar Chase with Minkah Fitzpatrick widening so he's over the top on the opposite side of the field. They're actually doubling the seam route receiver as well, with the linebacker working underneath to allow the safety to take a deeper, wider starting position in his coverage over the top. The end zone angle shows us that Burrow sees Minkah Fitzpatrick widening. When he looks back inside, there is no deeper safety, so he thinks he's got a wide open throw to a wide open receiver. He doesn't. Finally, we see the Steelers this time show blitz before the snap with 4 down linemen and 2 defenders pressing to the line of scrimmage. All 5 of the Bengals' eligible receivers are releasing into routes downfield, meaning Burrow will have to beat the blitz if it comes with a timely throw. If Burrow was already expecting the blitz, he will immediately think cover 2 man when he sees the safety to the top of the screen turn and run to create halves coverage with his safety partner deep. The cornerbacks outside the numbers and the one over the slot are all in man coverage positions. They're square to the receivers instead of drifting back or at an angle. The interior slot receiver is the only uncovered receiver on the field, and that's where Burrow will look immediately because that's his outlet if the blitz comes. When the ball is snapped, Burrow sees both safeties go deep before looking to the inside slot receiver, Tyler Boyd. The defender covering Boyd is looking at him. He turned immediately and ran with him down the seam when he released into his route. Every other defender in coverage is looking at Burrow. Every other defender in coverage is playing zone. Burrow doesn't know this. He thinks the slot cornerback turned and ran upfield with the outside slot receiver on that side of the field. That makes this a safe throw to Boyd and his matchup advantage. Burrow never sees the slot cornerback undercutting the route. He releases the ball from a clean pocket because there was no blitz. But by this point, he had spent the majority of the game being worn down by the Steelers' manipulations and misdirections, not to mention the pressure they generated on him in the pocket throughout the game. Burrow lacked clarity in this game, or rather, the Steelers took clarity from him by being so diverse in their approach. They were incredibly smart in what they did, while taking calculated risks to generate turnovers. It was a brilliant game plan from the Steelers coaching staff. Burrow will have better games over the course of the season. The Steelers will likely be the worst game of the year for more than one quarterback. So even if the offense struggles for Pittsburgh like they did in week 1, there's good reason to think they'll be right in the mix in the AFC North come season's end. The Bengals probably will be too.